Hello everyone, today we are going to watch the recap of a film titled, Yes God Yes. In this movie, we will be seeing the protagonist named, Alice, an incredibly devout young girl, who has many questions about her body and the things she experiences with it. The film begins by showing Alice afraid of the supervisor Miss Veda, who was inspecting the students' clothes, but luckily Alice was with her correct attire, so Miss Veda let her go, but before that she asks her to help herself in the celebration that was going to happen in a few hours. Before the celebration, Alice has a sex education class. In class, the Father Murphy said that any kind of secret intimacy, or before marriage intimacy, was considered a serious sin. Later, after the class is over, her friend Laura comes to meet her. Laura explains to Alice that she wasn't convinced that it made sense to teach about how to raise a Christian children in the class, since in her own opinion, she doesn't have any relationships. At night, while she was playing a game of quiz in her desktop computer, Alice receives an email from an unknown man. The man sent photos where he and his wife were having intimacy. Without resisting, she ends up seeing the photos. Then the man asks for a photo of her, so Alice sends the photo of her mother when she was 22. Meanwhile, Alice sees the picture of the man's wife fondling herself, so she tries to do the same, but when she was about to start, her mother arrives and she leaves from there. After all that, Alice finds herself perplexed at how it feels to witness those images. Next, in the school cafeteria, while having lunch with her classmates, Beth informs Alice that everyone at school was gossiping about her hooking up with an older man who Alice had a crush on. People were saying they kissed at a party last week, and Alice even got to give a kiss. Alice denies everything, and says that she didn't even know how to kiss. During a mass at school, Alice is forbidden to perform her role as an altar boy, due to what people are talking about her. It all makes Alice very confused. During confession, Alice lies about her wrongdoings. While confessing, she sees a painting that reminds her of the photographs shown to her by the stranger few days back. Then Alice together with Laura go to the Quercus retreat. As soon as she gets there, Alice meets Chris, who is a star player of a football team. Alice starts to create fantasies in her head just by looking at Chris. Only then a girl named Nina interrupts and takes her to the cabin where they will stay. After settling in her room, Nina asks for Alice to hand over her watch and cell phone. Nina said that no one is allowed to use those things during the retreat, but Alice eventually decides not to hand over her cell phone. During an activity at the retreat, Alice assigned a separate group from Laura, although she eventually joins the same group as Chris. Then Miss Veda starts handing out papers on which various feelings are written. Everyone should circle any of the feelings they've had recently. Alice circles all of her sentiments which she encounters recently, and as a result, she attempts to compensate for the circulation she produced in the quote feeling, but she ends up scribbling the word even more. At night in her room, Alice almost gets caught playing on her phone, so she chooses to leave it on vibrate mode. Realizing that her device was vibrating, she discovers that she can pleasure herself by putting her phone under her pants. She enjoys herself until she notices the cross in her room. It makes Alice feel very guilty. The next day, the group heads to the woods to gather items for the campfire. During a walk, Alice pretends to hurt herself, so that Chris carries her and takes Alice to the infirmary. Then Alice rushes to her room to get her phone, but while she is putting it back, Alice is interrupted by Nina, who discovers the Alice cell phone and confiscates it. So Alice is punished for what she did. She receives the punishment to empty all the trash cans in the retreat and to clean the cafeteria. While Alice was waiting for the cleaning materials, Alice sees the computer in the Father Murphy's office, so she has an idea of going into an online chat again to find out what is tossing the salad. Before she could get the answer, Alice realizes that someone was coming. She turns off the computer quickly and leaves from there, but she only managed to turn off the monitor, but not the entire thing. Their next retreat activity is to read publicly the letters that the parents sent to their children. Father Murphy goes through each letter one by one and delivers it carefully. When it is Alice's turn, the letter she receives is from her father, who emphasizes how happy he is that she grew up to be a wholesome lady. Instead of feeling warmly about the gesture, Alice simply feels guilty. On the third day of the retreat, Chris asks everyone in the group to share some of their sad experiences. Alice was hesitant to speak since she had no tragic stories about her life. So she decides to make up a story that her dog had died from poisoning. While after telling their stories, some of the girls are hugged by Chris. This makes Alice feels envious. At lunchtime, Father Murphy interrupts everyone's lunch to report that someone had used his computer to talk illicit things to unknown people in an online chat. Although Father Murphy is aware that no one will claim responsibility, he urges the unknown person to come forward before the retreat ends. Shortly after that, Alice goes for the routine confession session to Father Murphy. After getting there, Murphy asks Alice if anything was disturbing the relationship between her and Jesus. Alice replies that nothing was disturbing. Murphy then says that he saw the list of feelings that Alice received earlier, and saw how she circled that unwanted word. Alice confirms that she really had that feeling that time. Murphy inquires whether Alice's feelings were influenced by Wade. The Alice again claims that she had not done anything with Wade. After being pressured a little more by Father, Alice confessed that she will finally tell what really happened at the party, but we doesn't know what she said, because the film cuts right at that moment to another scene. While cleaning the cafeteria, Alice meets Wade. He thought it was Alice who was spreading rumors of the two of them, but Alice said she had never spread any rumors. Alice asks Wade to tell people that they never had anything. After a while, examining the trash that Wade had tossed on the floor, Alice discovers a bracelet bearing his girlfriend Heather's name. After finished cleaning the cafeteria, Alice sees Nina kissing one of her classmates. When she sees that scene, her hormones gets out of her skin. Then Alice starts rubbing against the shaft of the mop she is holding. She is almost caught by the elderly nun, but she manages to stop just in time. Later Alice tells Laura what she had seen, but Laura heard about the story that Alice told about the death of her dog, and she knew that was a lie. For that reason she ends up not believing Alice. Laura tells Alice to stop making up stories. She even thought that Alice had actually hooked up with Wade, and also thinks that she was the one who used Father Murphy's computer. Laura tells Alice that she was tired of feeling ashamed all the time for having a perverted friend. All these words from Laura make Alice very sad. While Alice goes to clean Father's room, she gets an idea and places the bracelet of Wade under the keyboard, so that when Father sees that he thinks Wade is the culprit. While doing this, she realizes that Father was returning to his room, so she quickly hides in the storage area. Alice sees that Father was watching horny videos of a girl, and is disgusted with what she had seen, still not believing what she saw. Then Alice meets Chris somewhere outside. Chris realizes that Alice wasn't well, so he decides to talk to her. Alice ends up not being able to control herself. Nearing a crisis, Alice gives him a kiss. Despite liking Alice, Chris is irritated by her and runs from there. During the night, all the students decided to make a campfire. While everyone sings, Alice understands that, after everything that has occurred, she does not belong there. So she decides to leave from there. Then Alice goes to a nearby lesbian bar. There she meets a woman called Gina. Gina tells Alice that she went to a Christian school for 12 years, arriving even to get baptized, but now she didn't follow anything anymore. And like Alice, Ginny was likewise terrified of traveling anywhere, even if it meant eating too many jelly beans. Then Ginny tells Alice that neither one knows more than the other. In reality, we are only attempting to comprehend the events that occur to us and even against us. Gina then drives Alice back to the retreat and gives her some partying tips. On the fourth day of the retreat, over breakfast, Alice chose to sit with a colleague who was alone. After all, Laura was no longer speaking to Alice, and despite their brief interactions, the two girls get along quite well. Later on, Laura informs Alice that they discovered that Wade was using Father Murphy's computer. Because they found his bracelet next to the computer, Laura then apologizes to Alice for accusing her. Recognizing that it was the Wade who did it, Alice feels bad that Wade has gotten into trouble as a result of her actions. Later, the students were participating in yet another retreat activity, where each one of them had to report all the experience they had with retreat. Wade was the first to speak. Wade guesses that he succumbed to temptation and lost control. However, the youngster had not done anything. It was Father Murphy who had pushed him to say so. Then Alice chooses to go on stage and speak. She begins by claiming that the teaching medium is too awful, since people like to talk about things they do not even know whether they are real. According to Alice, hearing falsehoods about yourself hurts a lot, makes you feel lonely and empty. Alice also tells the other students that it is unavoidable to do things for which you are not proud and that everyone hides things. So she asks everyone at the retreat why they could not be honest and treat each other with respect, because, at the end of the day, that is what Jesus wanted. After the retreat, Alice took Gina's advice and began looking for universities far away from where she used to reside. Now Alice is back in Father Murphy's confession chamber, but this time she admits to seeing someone do it on computer. She goes on to describe the video as a guy and a woman doing it on top of a car with graffiti on it. Murphy now understands that she had witnessed him. Father Murphy's face contorts in shock. The movie ends with Alice watching Jack and Rose having a little party in the movie Titanic several times. In this way we reach the end of the movie. Thanks for watching the video.